A lot of people think that narcissists get away with what they do and live this happily ever after life, when the reality is narcissists live a cursed life. Their life is a life of punishment. The problem is we tend to look at their life of punishment, and for some strange reason, we admire it. We need to really look at the punishment that narcissists live their life in order for you to have a better understanding of who you are, where you belong, and how to find your peace in this life. My name is Kevin, and this is The Royal We. Before I continue, I want to let you know that I'm here for your support. Down in the description box, you'll find access for one-on-one appointments. In addition to that, I have a few spots open for my 5-week program where I walk with you hand in hand every day for 5 weeks, taking you from a place of confusion and pain into a place of freedom, purpose, healing, and beyond. If that sounds good to you, be sure to check that out in the link down below. Now, in order to even understand the curse that narcissists live under, the punishment that is the narcissist's life, I want to take you with me back to an old story. I'm going to take you with me back to the ancient literature of the Bible, back to Genesis. We're going to look at a story about two brothers, Cain and Abel. This is an ancient Hebraic story, and in the story, Abel represents a guy that is offering his best to the community, his best to society. He is obedient, he is virtuous, and he has values. And in the story, his brother Cain represents an individual who offers the bare minimum to society. Not only that, but complains about it. The type of person that says F people and their values, I'm going to do it my way. As a result, in the story, Abel and his offering to the community was accepted. Cain's was rejected. Cain got angry about that. Not only was he F people and F their values, now it's, well, I'm going to get rid of Abel, so there's no more competition. How many of you, by the way, know narcissists who have that attitude, right? And now we're going to get into the punishment, because a lot of people look at that story and say, well, it looks like Cain got away with it in the story. No, not at all. Here was the punishment according to the ancient story. The punishment was this: Cain, as a result of what you've done, the ground that you stand on is cursed. And nothing you do where you are, nothing you do in this area, nothing you do in this family, nothing you do in this place will ever blossom. This territory is cursed. It will no longer give its strength to you. You, Cain, will be a wanderer for the rest of your life. Now, I want you to think about this for a moment. The curse of Cain for his narcissistic rage was that of being a wanderer, going from place to place, from relationship to relationship. See, the reality is that what Cain had in that place with his brother and with his family was he had something. He had something that could grow, something that could blossom, something where Cain could become strong and powerful. But he ruined it and instead chose a life of wandering. Now, this is where you and I get confused, and we start to look at narcissists. We start to look at Cain, especially in today's culture with social media. We look at the life of Cain and say, well, that's awesome. Look at him going from relationship to relationship, from place to place, smiling for their Facebook pictures and Instagram pictures. And how come they get to be in a new relationship? How come they get to go over there and do that? How come they get to go over there and do that? And we don't look at it as a punishment. We don't look at the narcissist life as a curse, which it is. Instead, we look at it as, that's not fair. They're living their best life. No, they're never growing. They're never finding commitment. They're never establishing themselves. They're never in a place where roots can grow deep and where they can flourish and become something good in life, where they can grow into something strong. All they can do is go from relationship to place under the curse of Cain, never knowing who they even really are, never blossoming into anything, always transforming, always becoming something new. I want you to think about that. Put down Instagram and Facebook for a second. Put down the fact that they're jumping from relationship to relationship, and you think about that. What's really desirable about jumping around to different relationships? Having kids without being married, having a new sexual partner. What is desirable about any of that? Compare that to the value and the growth and the strength of being firmly planted in one place and growing into a full, mature adult tree, if you will, that fully knows his self or herself over time. Right? You know, there was a time where we used to value commitment. There was a time where marriage was valued. Unification was valued. Why? Because it represented commitment. It represented a place where you can dig deep and your roots can go deep and you can grow up strong. But in a narcissistic culture, in a narcissistic society, no, we don't want that. In fact, it angers us. I've dealt with that. I've dealt with narcissists who literally came up to me and said, F you and your ignorant values about marriage and commitment. On and on. They hate it. They resent it. Why? Because they live under a curse. And they can't have that. And instead of being in a place where they can form deep roots and really know themselves, they're forced to run from relationship to relationship. Stop looking at Instagram and Facebook and saying, wow, that's desirable. They have a new partner and they're able to be happy. No, they're running. And they never know themselves. They have no roots in any of their relationships. It's sad, really. You need to focus on coming back to your desire to have roots, which puts a burden on you now. You have to carefully select your relationships in order to develop and form roots. You can't have that with a narcissist. You never will. I'm going to share a very personal story with you. Can I do that? My dad, and I saw this in my dad, my own dad, who left me and my brother and my mom when I was 4. And he went from relationship to relationship. He was on wife number 4 before he died of a heart attack. And as much as I used to look at my dad's life and I wanted so badly to be in his life and a part of his life, he looked like he was cool and having fun. I remember a few years ago before he died of a heart attack, we were sitting down having a conversation. And he told me, even as he was on wife number 4, he said, Kevin, I never knew myself. He still didn't. He never knew himself before he died. Why? Because he didn't allow himself to get planted. He couldn't. My dad lived under the curse of narcissism, the curse of Cain, destroying relationships and moving on. Never was able to get planted firmly in anything. And this is important. With that curse also came some other things. I'm going to share this with you. My dad in his older age became more paranoid. The more people run, the more narcissists have to go from relationship to relationship, place to place, the more paranoid they become. My dad was so paranoid at one time, he was at a grocery store. He shared a story and he was actually kind of proud of it in a weird way. And I just thought it was so strange. He was at a grocery store approached by some women wearing their charity t-shirts, selling fun sticks or whatever some of those people sell in grocery store parking lots. And my dad, who was really big into concealed carry, said he put his hand up to those women, and when he saw that they kept approaching, he put his hand on his firearm to let them know, don't come near me. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, what would it be like to be in a situation where you feel threatened with people in a parking lot? I think that there's a place of paranoia when you live your life running, always getting involved in new relationships, never becoming firmly planted, and discovering who you are and building true confidence. This message is important for you because some of you right now are envious of whatever your narcissistic ex is doing. I'll tell you what they're doing. They're living the life of their curse. Don't envy it, no matter what smiles they're putting on social media, all right? It's not worth it. I promise you that. It's a curse. Listen, I am here for your support. Down in the description box, you'll find access to my calendar for one-on-one appointments. I do have some spots open left for my 5-week program where I walk with you hand in hand every day for 5 weeks. You can find out about that down below. I want to talk more about the difference between Cain and Abel, the two brothers, and what it tells you about narcissists, even within your own family, and what it tells you about what you need to watch out for. Watch this video right here. I'll be back with more videos for you right here on The Royal We.